I want to share with you a brief excerpt of my new book, For Love of Country, that comes out on April 30th. As I stood on one side of the Edmund Pettus Bridge with John Lewis and a few dozen other members of Congress, I felt the gravity and weight of what those who had come before us endured. I was inspired by the courage and strength of character of those who had stood in this very spot and chosen to kneel in prayer to God instead of running away from their attackers and oppressors. A flood of emotion washed over me as we slowly began our walk across the bridge. It was an experience I'll never forget. 100+ people walking arm in arm, honoring those who sacrificed their own well-being so others could walk free. Someone in the crowd started to sing impromptu, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Everybody shine." And one by one, people began joining in until the vibration of over 100 voices reverberated through the air. As we walked across that bridge, I felt immense pride to live in a country where such transformational change had come about because of a courageous movement of peaceful protest and civil disobedience. I was struck not only by what the leaders of the civil rights era had achieved, but how they had achieved it. They did not claim to have special rights. They asserted their equal rights. They did not denigrate the founders of this nation or our founding documents. Rather, they cited them in their defense. They did not claim that the United States was an irredeemable, hopeless place. Instead, they dedicated their lives to make it better. They did not think that America was defined by racism. They believed it was defined by its ideals, that all men are created equal, endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. They chose to see the good in their fellow citizens. They knew that peaceful demonstrations would win more hearts and minds than violent riots ever could. In August 1963, in his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, Dr. King called the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, quote, "a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir."
This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Now, so-called progressives roll their eyes and summarily dismiss the sentiments that Reverend King expressed. They see his dream as passé. They reject or ignore the truth that we are all children of God. They do not believe we are all created equal. They openly advocate for anti-white racism and insist that anyone who refuses to support their plan to turn Americans against each other is a racist himself. They believe we must judge each other by the color of our skin and segregate our society based on two classes: the oppressed, all people of color, and the oppressor, all white people. It's astounding and deeply disturbing to see these influential leaders in the Democrat Party betraying the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, fomenting divisiveness and discrimination and hate based on race. If things keep going on in this way, we should not be surprised to see a rise in race-based violence in America.